Now, well, students, today I am going to discuss with you the function of an ecosystem. Ecosystem we have already discussed. We have seen that how structure of an ecosystem ultimately leads to the functioning of an ecosystem. The functional of an ecosystem, it basically reflects the collective activities of the plants, their collective activities of the animals, collective activities of microbes, and the effects of these activities. That is, basically there are different types of activities. What kind of activities these plants, animals and microbes do? They do feeding, they consume food, they eat food, they grow, that means growing, they move, they move from one place to another place. As far as the plants are concerned, they do not move, but they have the attribute, they get feeded, they feed themselves, and they grow. And there are also some excretory waste from the animals, which is basically the functioning of an ecosystem. And the functioning of an ecosystem have some impact. It has some impact on the physical and chemical conditions of their environment. Now, here I will tell you one thing. Now you will see the activities of these plants and animals and microbes and their impact on physical and chemical condition of the environment. But in turn, this environment allows these plants, animals and microbes to function. Thus, we can say that they are connected to each other. They don't work in isolation, they work together. When we talk of, sometimes we also say, you will see in some books, ecosystem functions is also referred to as the ecosystem processes, or you will encounter a term, you will see a term that those are called as ecological processes. And these ecological processes or ecosystem processes, they are integral part of biodiversity, and thus can be they broadly defined as the biological, geochemical and physical processes that take place or occur within an ecosystem. Okay, now the functional attributes of the ecosystem keep the components running together. Okay, so by virtue of these functions, the components of this ecosystem, they run together. Ecosystem functions are natural processes. They exchange, there is exchange of the energy that take place in various plants and animals of different biomes of the world. As far as the term biome is concerned, I will discuss this biome in the next lectures. Now, as far as the exchange of energy is concerned, or there are some plants and communities, energy between takes place between plants and animal communities. For instance, green leaves prepare food and roots absorb nutrients from the soil. Herbivores feed on leaves and the roots and in turn serve as food for the carnivores. I will repeat. I have already discussed this part in the class. Green leaves prepare food and roots absorb nutrients from the soil. Herbivores feed on leaves. That means the animals that only feed on the greenery, green plant and leaves, and the roots and in turn serve as food for the carnivores. Decomposers, they execute the functions of breaking down complex organic materials into simple inorganic products which are used by the producers. Okay, now fundamentally I am saying that ecosystem functions are exchange of energy and nutrients in the food chain. These exchanges sustain plant and animal life on the planet as well as the decomposition of organic matter and the production of biomass. All these functions of the ecosystem takes place through delicately balanced and controlled processes. Okay. Now, I will be discussing now with you the functional aspects of an ecosystem. The first functional aspect of an ecosystem is the energy flow in an ecosystem. Number two, it is productivity of an ecosystem. Productivity will be discussing, it is of three types: primary productivity, secondary productivity, and net productivity. Then I will be discussing with you Y-shaped model of the energy flow. Basically, we are today, please remember, I will repeat once again, we are discussing the functional aspects of the ecosystem, or functional ecosystem, or functions of an ecosystem. Now coming to this energy flow in an ecosystem basically they maintain themselves. How they maintain themselves? By cycling of energy and nutrients, which they obtain from the external sources. At the first trophic levels, primary producers like plants, algae, and some bacteria, they use solar energy to produce organic plant material through the process which is called as, or which is known as, the photosynthesis. Now, herbivores are those animals that feed entirely on the plants. They make up the second trophic level. Predators that eat herbivores comprise the third trophic level. If larger predators are present, they represent still higher trophic levels. Now, similarly, organisms that feed at several trophic levels. For example, we can talk of bears that eat berries and salmon. That means they eat berries, they eat plant material, as well as they eat the animal material, salmon, fishes. They are classified at the highest of the trophic levels at which they feed. Decomposers, which include bacteria, fungi, molds, worms, and insects, break down waste and dead organisms and return nutrients to the to the soil. Now there are certain estimates that depict or that state that on an average about 10% of the net energy production at one trophic level is passed on to the next level. Processes that reduce the energy transfer between trophic levels include respiration, okay, because animals have to respire, growth and reproduction, defecation, and non-predatory death. What is non-predatory death? That is the organisms that die but are not eaten by the consumers. The nutritional quality of the material that is consumed also influences how efficiently energy is transferred, because consumers can convert high quality food sources into new living tissue more efficiently than low quality food sources. The low rate of energy transfer between trophic levels makes decomposers generally more important than producers in terms of the energy flow. Okay, decomposers process large amounts of organic material and return nutrients to the ecosystem in inorganic form, which is then taken up again by the primary producers. Energy is not recycled during decomposition, but rather it is released mostly as the heat.